Okay, so let's move on with this. I have pulled out my quotations here just to make things a little bit faster. You don't need to write down this part because I'm going to see it in your paragraph. But basically, I want to talk about the way that Orwell says that the concrete melts into the abstract. With almost all of the principles of clear language that he talks about, he is worried about that idea in particular. And then it says the whole tendency of modern prose is away from concreteness, right? So that's what he's afraid of. He's not just afraid of like politicians using language in a manipulative way. He's interested in the concreteness, right? So that's what I want to tackle here in my paragraph. So I say the idea that denotations and connotations are impermanent can be unsettling because it seems to undercut objective meaning. George Orwell is concerned about the loss of meaning in his essay Politics and the English Language. Okay, that is my little introduction to the part that I'm going to talk about. When you're writing these essays, you want to remember that the people reading your essays are not always going to be me, and that they won't know exactly what you refer to when you just say Orwell, right? So here I say he's interested in this idea in this particular essay. And notice up here, I've given my essay page numbers because you need to do that. So give your essays page numbers if you haven't already, because I'm going to be citing the page numbers here. He's concerned about loss of meaning in his essay, Politics and the English Language. He believes that as language evolves, it devolves. Ooh, it devolves. That's really nice. As language evolves, I actually hate that. As language evolves, it loses its specific meaning. Let's see, what does he say? And then I will take this, the concrete melts into the abstract. Okay, and the concrete melts into the abstract. Then I'm going to explain sort of the consequences of this a little bit according to Orwell. Losing vague language then allows for those in positions of power to manipulate emotions without fully interacting with complicated political ideas. That is not the best thing I could have said there. Vague language then allows for those in positions of power to manipulate emotions without fully interacting with complicated political ideas. Without fully, it's not interacting. It's like they're not fully engaging almost. Yeah, it's something like that. Okay. And this is a rough draft, like we said. So he believes that as language evolves, it loses its specific meaning and the concrete melts into the abstract. Vague language allows for those in positions of power to manipulate emotions without fully engaging with complicated political ideas. Okay, I think that's good on Orwell. I go back here, though, to my topic sentence, and I say language is and has always been constantly evolving, which means that Orwell, and this is not like necessarily a bad thing, right? And Orwell here is very terrified of this. I want to make it clear, though, that my position going forward is not going to be about how this is a terrifying idea. So I need to now transition into my second source to get the sources talking. In a more contemporary look at evolving language, Gretchen McCulloch it's a U, examines the use of emoji as a digital example of the way language changes according to context. Something like that. Okay, not Gretch. That is a beautiful name. Gretchen examines the use of emoji as a digital example of the way language changes according to context. She claims, okay, but then I want to set it up against Orwell, right? Unlike Orwell, she claims that English is in ruddy good health. That's on page 4. She is able to make this argument because, unlike Orwell, she does not believe that language always, I'm going to use this, moves away from concreteness. Now here, it is not clear that this is Orwell yet, so there we go. She's able to make this argument because, unlike Orwell, she does not believe that language always moves away from concreteness. Rather, she accepts that language will alter according to, cut and paste, copy. This is very exciting to watch. According to a certain set of circumstances. In an era when circumstances change at more rapid rates than change so rapidly as they do online, McCulloch's model for interpreting changing language is far less cynical and much more useful than Orwell's, what's the word, like catastrophizing? Catastrophizing. Okay, there we go. There is my paragraph. So let's look at a couple things here about the way that I get them engaged, and then I'm going to end the video and have you finish your own paragraph. All right, so first of all, I'm going to present a bit of a counter argument. George Orwell is concerned about the loss of meaning in his essay. He believes that as language evolves, it loses its specific meaning and the concrete melts into the abstract. So that's where I have presented his idea within a quotation. Then I need to use a paraphrase thing to sort of like wrap up how his quotation then applies to my topic sentence. So I say, vague language then allows for those in positions of power to manipulate emotions without fully engaging with complicated political ideas. That's Orwell's idea still. Right? Now I want to place McCulloch in relationship, in juxtaposition with Orwell. I say, in a more contemporary look at evolving language. So here I've introduced it and said, here's why, it's like subtle, right? But I'm saying like, here's why we're going to listen to McCulloch a little bit more than Orwell here, because she's more contemporary. So it's like she understands our current moment a little bit better, right? McCulloch examines the use of emoji as a digital example of the way language changes according to context. Unlike Orwell, she claims that English is in ruddy good health. She's able to make this argument because, unlike Orwell, I don't like that again, so I'm going to italicize that, but to fix it later. But anyway, she's able to make this argument because, I actually think let's just delete it. There we go. She does not believe that language always moves away from concreteness. Rather, she accepts that language will alter according to a certain set of circumstances. In an era when circumstances change so rapidly as they do online, McCulloch's model for interpreting changing language is far less cynical and much more useful than Orwell's catastrophizing. Okay, so I've gotten in my argument here. I'm like, here, I agree more with McCulloch, and the reason is because things are changing too quickly to try and pretend that we should just stick with one language always for the rest of time. But more importantly here, I have my two sources talking together. Now let's look a little bit at my citations, because in your essays you'll be required to do that. I gave it the page numbers because the stuff that I gave you didn't always have it. But just look here. Okay, I already said Orwell said this thing, right? He believes, so I don't need to repeat Orwell. And it's going to affect your grade if you get these citations wrong. So, no period there, quotation ends here, parentheses like that. Just like sort of burn that little format into your memory. And as you're writing your paragraphs right now, make sure you are writing according to that format. It's really important that you're getting this one right. Right here, I've got another one like that. Now here, I was talking about Gretchen McCulloch, but I'm citing Orwell. So to make that clear, I have his last name only, space, nothing in between, no comma, period. You punctuate it the same way, you just add in a last name there. All right, and then I say she accepts that language will alter. Just to be on the safe side, I am actually going to make that very clear because we can't always trust pronouns, you know? So let's stick with that because I don't repeat her name. Now this is because I said her name right up here, but I've switched to citing Orwell and back to McCulloch. So I just want to make that very, very clear who I'm citing when. Okay. I think that's my paragraph. So I wanted to give you guys this example. I will post this online so that you can access it. But now you are going to finish your paragraph, get your sources talking, at least 2 sources in this paragraph, and then turn it in at the end of this assignment. And I will talk to you later.